Welcome back to PerpDex Daily. My name is Aaron, and today, as usual, we're going to be covering the PerpDex scene, specifically Hyperliquid and Lighter. And we also have a video from CZ today, which was super interesting that we're going to cover in today's video. But let's get straight into it. As we can see, Hyperliquid is down today. It is a Sunday, so slow trading day. Weekends are always slow for the markets. It's down 2%. Solana's actually been on a little run recently with the cabal starting to shill it, meaning like Ansem and all of them. Bitcoin, to be honest, not looking too great in my opinion. It's looking like it's really just a matter of time before it goes down to 45K. But overall, Hyperliquid is still looking strong. I mean, it's holding around $68, and Lighter, kind of, you can see here, it did pump a little bit, but it retraced pretty quickly. Going to be interesting to see if it can kind of hold this formation or it's going to break out of it. We'll see. Now, as we go into Hyperliquid, Hyperscan, you can see the T-Walt buy pressure for the next 24 hours is looking like about $1 million, which isn't too much, but you can see there's a lot. There's still frequent demand for the Hyperliquid token, especially on red days, which is what you want to see. And what's really, really interesting today, before we cover the CZ video, let's take a look at the top traded pairs. I expect to see Pump Fund probably in here at some point. I think the Pump token, which has kind of first seen some relief for the first time in a long time recently. You can see Hype still number one. We have, I think that's something oil, crude oil, Bitcoin. We have XYZ 100, Brent oil, and a couple other pairs. Now let's go on to the CZ video, which is kind of the main thing I want to talk about today. So this is what CZ had to say about Hyperliquid recently.
I want to ask about Hyperliquid.
They occupy a niche that Binance, the exchange, cannot compete. They don't have KYC. They claim they're decentralized. Based on the technology we see, they have a lot of control. It's a small team that controls the platform. They use a smart contract for deposit and withdrawals. That claim that's decentralized. In the US, if you have a VPN, you can use it, right? So everybody knows that. And they are able to service many users that Binance cannot serve, which again, it's not in my place to comment whether that's good or not.
You know, the history of no KYC crypto exchange is filled with people getting in trouble for that. Like, should they be, should they be worried?
I would never do what they do, given what I've experienced in my life.
I want to ask about Hyperliquid.
So I want to give my thoughts on this video right here. And first of all, I want to say, like, I appreciate CZ a lot. He's one of my favorite people in crypto. I think he's an absolute beast, despite him getting a lot of flack from sometimes the general public. But I have to say, this kind of sounds like cope to me. Although he is correct, yes, Binance could never compete with Hyperliquid, and because Hyperliquid's no KYC. At the end of the day, Aster, which is owned by Binance, which is Hyperliquid's competitor, is no KYC as well. So although, yes, Binance isn't able to compete, you still put out Aster. I mean, CZ was pumping Aster. We all remember this at the end of last year. And Aster has not performed the same way Hyperliquid has. And that's just the reality of the situation. I know Aster does have it does have kind of a fan base in China. But in terms of the English and American market, everyone's pretty much on Hyperliquid for the most part. And I think there's just a lot of cope going on. He is correct in the fact that the history of no KYC exchanges has normally ended up in some sort of lawsuit, or the exchange had the KYC. And as he says in the video, we know CZ went to jail for 4 years for a whole, list of things. And one of the things he got in trouble was, serving US customers. I think at one point Binance was a no KYC exchange. But I actually don't think they're going to make Hyperliquid KYC. I don't think they're going to make any of the perpdexes KYC. And the reason why is, if they make Hyperliquid KYC, what's going to happen is a new perpdex that's going to be no KYC is going to step in. And then it's just a big circle where exchange comes in, no KYC, they make them KYC, and new exchange, and it's just going to be, there's always just going to be a new exchange being made. So I think Hyperliquid's probably going to have to end up making a deal with the US government, with the Trump family, who knows, to avoid, getting KYC. Because if it does KYC, that is going to be a big hit. Might not be the biggest hit as people would think. But I do think a big part of it being attractive is the fact that it's no KYC. I think CZ here is coping for the most part, though. At the end of the day, you have Aster, and, Aster has not been able to compete with Hyperliquid. That's just the truth. And I respect CZ a lot. I think he's a super smart guy, but in terms of the most dominant DEX in the future, and he is right about the centralization thing, but I don't think anyone cares. Everyone just wants the best experience possible on the application. Nobody cares if it's decentralized or not. I'm just being completely honest. I know in crypto we're supposed to care about decentralization, but I'm being objective from the point of most people. Like a TradFi guy is not going to give a shit. That's just the truth. They just want a quality product, and Hyperliquid is that quality product. And when you take a look at the Hyperliquid versus SEX volume over time, when you go to volume and market share, Hyperliquid versus Binance, 10.5% of Binance volume. So at the end of the day, Hyperliquid is still smaller than Binance. But once again, I think in the future it will flip and take over Binance. I think it will. But I will say this also, CZ is not going to go down without a fight. I do expect the Aster token to probably be pumped really hard at some point. It's not going to happen anytime soon, but I think he will flip a switch. BNB will go on a run, and then Aster will go on a run. We saw this happen before, but CZ's not going to go down without a fight. But I am personally, definitely more of a Hyperliquid bull than anything. I mean, that's pretty fucking obvious. But yeah, you can see here, Hyperliquid has been, slowly but surely, taking more Binance's market share. So that's kind of my overall thoughts on that. Now let's move on to the Lighter protocol. Lighter has done $745 million worth of volume in the last 24 hours. Not much has been happening here. Not too much going on with Lighter right now. Didn't really check X, to be honest, before I made this video. But as you can see right here on the price, it's kind of an interesting position right now. And if we go to the Hyperliquid news, yes, I just asked Claude. Hype Spot ETF is attracting faster capital growth than XRP's competing ETF, driven by its fee buyback mechanism, pulling in roughly $50 million in June so far versus XRP's $24 million. That's good to see, and I'm not shocked to see that because I think Hype is a premier crypto asset. Right here, this is what we just covered, CZ talking about it. Hyperliquid's policy advocacy arm pushed back on CME Group's lawsuit against the CFTC over approved crypto perpetual futures, calling it anti-competitive. Yeah, and I think the CME Group, throwing a lawsuit, we talked about this yesterday, I think their lawsuit against the CFTC is bearish for them. I mean, it really shows that they're very scared. And at the end of the day, once again, crypto and trading, these platforms are a global market. It's not just the USA. So even if hypothetically Hyperliquid gets banned in the USA, it's still going to be used by the rest of the world. And then you're just pushing money offshore. This was the whole thing that happened under the Biden administration. It was, we're going to throw all these lawsuits on companies. Now nobody wants to build in the US and we just lose out on free money to Switzerland, Hong Kong, the UAE, what other Caribbean island? I don't know. Now right here, Hyperliquid Policy Center CEO Jake Chervinsky specifically criticized CME's lawsuit as a shocking miscalculation by a pretty incumbent monopolist, noting CME controls roughly 92% of U.S. exchange-traded derivative volume. And this, once again, just shows that CME is scared. This is kind of a last-ditch attempt, in my opinion, to try and stop Hyperliquid. I think they know where the direction things are going, and Hyperliquid is just going to continue to gain more and more volume share as time goes on. I think it's really just the beginning. Hyperliquid, although people think it's super big right now, it's really not the biggest name right now. Not a lot of people know what it is, even in finance, and it's only sitting around a $15 billion market cap. It's not really that too big. But that's it for today's PerpDex Daily Roundup. If you enjoyed it, make sure to follow me on X, and also we have a Discord coming soon for everyone to talk about trading and anything else crypto related. And yeah, guys, thank you for watching.